Welcome to Pivot Happens, the plucky little podcast that could, with Anne Kingston and denMeer.
Ready.
Hello and welcome to Pivot Happens, the plucky little podcast that could. I am one of your hosts, Anne denMeer.
And I am Anne Kingston.
We are the two Annes, and I will most likely be going by denMeer because that helps us know who we're talking about. And I kind of like going by denMeer, except people didn't think my name is denMeer, and I'm not a Vaughn. Anyway, we started this podcast, and it is about pivots, different kinds of pivots. But when we started playing around with this, we really realized a lot of what this is about for us is resilience. And so we talk about resilience a lot as we're going through all of this pivoting talk. And this came about through just a lot of discussions. We like to call ourselves the Unprofessional Armchair Psychologists. Because when we spend our time slicing and dicing others, analyzing their behavior and our own.
No judgment.
No judgment. We're right in there too. We started calling ourselves that just as kind of a joke because it was like that was a way to distinguish that we were going to start throwing out some theories. And so every now and then
it made us feel better, at least
did.
To know that. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
No. So if at any point in time we get to that place, you'll know because the glasses and the ciggies. The ciggies started from a very silly thing. I had a piece of a straw, and during a meeting, I was basically channeling my mom from the 70s and talking to my straw and saying, you kids. So that's where the ciggies came from. We don't endorse smoking in any way. They are, as I often say, the finest gum cigarettes that Macedonia produces. Which,
I had a little bit of puff out of that one.
Oh, I did too. There's something in there. I'm not sure if these are any better for you than regular cigarettes. That's my fear.
It's not as filling, that's for sure.
Whatever that powder is that looks like fake smoke. I don't know. But anyway, so it's just kind of a silly thing we do, but it sort of is like, I feel like it's like when we're getting to the meat of an issue or whatever, when we're serious and we're really tearing it apart or really thinking it through. So, we kind of, work brought us together and writing was the bow that got tied around the friendship, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like though, if words could express how I think strong of a bond, I think we've become, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't describe nearly, but anyway.
No, you feel more like a sister. You really do. I do. I said that to Laura. Laura will be a guest on our podcast. Laura's another friend of ours. I said, she's like my sister. She really is.
Yeah, she really is. Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
But what was really cool is Anne was, she started working on her, we both consider ourselves writers, and we're both really trying to make that that's our pivot. That's probably our biggest pivot right now, is to pivot our lives into being writers as our careers. And so you were writing a romance novel, a Western historical romance novel. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. This is the book I started. I think you can see it. I don't think it's going to fade out here.
No.
This is the book that I started, I think, maybe about 20 years ago, because, and I don't know if I ever told you this, Anne. Maybe I did. Okay, so I started the book about 20 years ago because I was newly married, no kids at the time. Okay, I can't believe it. I don't think I told you this. Newly married, no kids, and a little lost emotionally, everything. Like, felt like I had let go of who I was, what I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like that place where you're just lost. And I don't know what happened, because I'd always written, for the most part, always had a love of writing, always, enjoyed that process, started a few books at any point in my life. But I had just decided to start writing one. just a romance novel, just because it just brought me back to connecting with who I was.
Mm-hmm.
So this book started and stopped and started and stopped and started and stopped over the last 20 years. And then I would say last year is when I got the fire lit under me to really make something of it. Because
Do you remember
whenever
what?
anybody asks me, what do you do? I'm like, well, I do this, but when I grow up, I want to be a romance novelist, and that's what I would always tell people.
Do you remember the
Mm-hmm.
thing that lit the fire last year?
The fire was the woman that I met just randomly,
Right.
at my daughter's gymnastics class. And I live in a very small town, and I just happened to be sitting next to someone the very first class, and we just hit it off talking. And she, by the end of it, I'm like, "What do you do for a living?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm a romance novelist." And I'm like, "No, you're not.
Yeah.
The universe would not put you sitting right next to me in this very moment." And of course it did. And she became a mentor of how to be a self-published indie author. And I set goals for myself last year. I picked the book up. And here I am. It's published, and
Trail of
it's doing very
Desire.
well on Amazon. Amazon,
Yeah.
Kindle Unlimited. Yep.
Yes, we intend for this to be a podcast free to all. There'll be no paywalls. There'll be nothing, no extra content. You'll get all the content here, but we will shamelessly plug our own stuff. So you have to put up with our shameless plugs, but everything will be free. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's like, in my mind, kind of like one of the universal pivots, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
the universe put something in your path to just shift you and be like, hey, remember?
Like, you can't ignore this one.
Yeah. Remember her? Remember that person who started writing this book, and remember why she did it, and remember how it felt? It's like, I'd like to poke you and wake you back up again, please.
Really? Yeah. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are shifts and pivots that come from the universe. This is my opinion now, my opinion. I know we share it, but just have
Mm-hmm.
to caveat that with the whole world here.
Yeah. Because everybody's going to listen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the pivot can be difficult, and it can be hard, and it can be a
Yes.
lesson that you don't want to learn, but boy, the universe is saying, no, 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 it's time. This was a beautiful moment that I just felt like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to do then. This
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be this obvious.
No.
This wouldn't be so in my
Agreed.
face. This wouldn't be so, like, you know what I mean? It's like the flashing open sign.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
universe is open. Here's the story of Anne Kingston. What is she going to
Mm-hmm.
do? That's so funny, because I was talking to my therapist, and I said, now I look back at so many things, and I'm like, thank you so much for not giving me what I thought I wanted. And and she was like, wow, that's really deep. I'm like, well, I don't think I coined that or anything, but it's true. It's so true. And it's like that. And I know we're going to talk a lot about that, because we do. We really do.
Yeah.
That's certainly the place that we share, that we come from, in this sort of belief of we are all being led. And you can call whatever you want to call the leader, you call the leader. Like Casey Musgraves, call it the architect. If you want to call it the architect, call the architect. If you want to call it universe, God, Kabbalah monster, I don't, we're kind of trying to talk about it in a very generic sort of way.
Yeah.
But also,
and however it applies to each person is however it applies.
Exactly. Yeah. And however much you want to codify it, that's your business. Yeah. On here, we tend to stick to kind of like a belief in a universal force that is beyond us, that is working for us in some way, is working us towards something, is leading us to our purpose, whatever that is. So it took me a while to get to a place of understanding that, because I spent a lot of my life in a place of, I am cursed. I don't ever get what I want. Nothing ever works out for me. I have bad luck. I was specifically told I had bad luck, and it's like, oh, fuck that. Fuck
Wow,
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so it was, I guess I had to go through it. You have to go through it, I guess, sometimes, to really understand some things. And that's what happened to me, is I went through this walk of realization of, oh my God, thank God that didn't happen. If that had happened, this would never have happened. And one thing I can definitely add into this whole message is when you started working on your book, I too had written on and off throughout all the years. I'd written some novels, I'd finished some, but never really seriously ever thought about publishing. I had work published. I wrote for some magazines, regional kind of magazines, nothing, it wasn't Utney Reader. It was, but they were, they were regional magazines. And I have had some poetry published. So, I've done that kind of thing, but I never really took my novels seriously enough. And then, so I never took my novels really that seriously. And when I first, probably about 4 years ago, I started my book that I recently finished. And I wrote that book. That started as a way to deal with some really difficult things I went through in life, some losses that were unfortunately the kind of losses where the person can't tell me how or why they got to the point of jumping ship here. And so it was like, if you've been through something like that, you will understand. It's the unanswered questions. It's the, what could I have said? What could I have done? Even though I know very much there was nothing you could have said or done. You cannot help it. As a human, you will ask yourself these questions. What was there something I could have said or done, even though there wasn't? So I started this book as kind of like just sort of, like I always started all my books. And when you started talking about when you were writing and everything, I started thinking, I should get my book out. And you were so encouraging, of course. You were just like, yeah, do it. And I think that, again, if this book is going to ever be anything, it is because our paths crossed. Because otherwise, I think that would have just, like I always jokingly say, it would have died on a hard drive of a Mac somewhere, that I never recovered. And it's like,
I know what you mean, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots of lost
flash drives where this one was located.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I probably do have some of them. I don't that have gone from Mac to Mac to Mac. You know what I mean? Every time you start up a new one, everything gets transferred over. It's like they're probably in there somewhere. But anyway, your very generous encouragement, your not devotion, but your how you were sticking to your process, how you were writing, how you were getting it together, and why can't I think of the word? Not devotion, but your tenacity, your commitment to writing your book really inspired me, because you were like, and then it got to be fun. It was like all of a sudden it's like, and then something very magical happened with this book. I do feel like this book had to be written now. I really do. I do feel like what it is and where it is now, it needed to be written. It deals with, really difficult subjects for sure. But to me, it's like, unless we talk about difficult subjects and start having conversations around healing, we're not going to get better as a human race. I mean, it's like, there's some stuff we need to talk about, I firmly believe. And so that's kind of what I ended up trying to do in this book. And now I have actually sent it to one agent. I'm hoping, like we've talked about, I need to get some more out there going just to keep that energy going of the book and keeping it kind of alive. But I've actually started a new book, as have you.
Yes. Oh, I mean, just the process is just so much fun. I can't even. I mean, I know I say this, and I'm trying not to say it in a way that the universe is going to take it literally, because I don't want it to be taken literally. But
cancel clear.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I could just be writing all day as my source of income, but not the source of, like, more than what I make, more than
a step up, right?
Yeah,
right, exactly. And I think that I do that. I have sometimes those fears too, because it's like, I don't want to lose my job. I need my job right now, for sure. I'm appreciative of my job.
Grateful.
so grateful, all the gratitude for my work, because without my work, none of this would have been, from the computer I write it on to where I live to what I'm doing now. I'm forever and ever grateful. I wouldn't have met you. I mean, it's like there's so much about my job I'm grateful for. But I think when you have a writer's soul, and I think when people who write and really understand it, and I don't know, I think my soul took a little coaxing to come out for a lot of reasons. I know there's lots of reasons why it was like that. I used to be so horribly, meanly critical of my writing, and it was very difficult for me. And I would write something, and I would be like, I'd go back and read it and be like, oh my God, that's terrible. And it's interesting with my new book, I'm having a little of that because I'm trying to, get it off the ground, and it's so rough and it's so nebulous, and it's this very crazy nebulous idea. So of course, but I told you about this before. I did the National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo, and that, if anybody has not heard of that, or if you have, if you know, it is, I can't remember what the name, now I feel really bad. I think it's just called NaNoWriMo. They put this on every November, and you write a novel, and you write a 40,000 word novel, and they tell you how many words you have to write per day to get that done if you're going to meet your goal. And there's lots of encouragement. It's really fun. That process broke me of a lot of that, because you don't have time to go back and talk shit about your writing. It's like you just have to sit down and write. And that really helped me break through that and realize, just write, just sit down and just write. You can pick through it later. You can decide what's good or bad later. Immediate criticism of what you've just written kills the process. So,
I was so impressed when you did that, because I remember, wasn't that when you took a week off of work? Didn't you? I remember very clearly, it might not have been in November, but I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm so impressed. You took a whole week off of work, and I remember you just wrote the whole week.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did a staycation.
You didn't go anywhere. You didn't plan on going anywhere. You planned on staying home and writing. And I was like, oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, well, I don't have a family either. It makes it really easy to do shit like that. Yeah, I'm just me. So when I make decisions like a staycation write-a-thon, I just got to clear with the cats and make sure they have food. I think I did. It's been a while since I did NaNoWriMo, and that was a whole month. And but I recommend that to anybody, especially if you have a problem with an inner critic that won't shut up. I really recommend that. Or just, you don't have to wait for November. You can do it yourself. You can figure out, it's like, I can't remember, 3,000 something words a day. So it's like, and you make you do it. Right now, I've gotten into a thing, my whole thing with like scheduling my wellness, which I started doing, that's something I started doing this year. I have this wonderful book, and I bought, because of course I'm always attracted to journals and planners and everything like that. And I have one on my phone, and I've got one on my work computer. So it's like, I really didn't need it. So I made it like my wellness schedule, and I schedule in, and I do really believe there is something to that, to scheduling the things you want to do, like, and seeing it and knowing that, okay. And I never, if I don't do it, I don't check it off. I don't beat myself up. I might move it to another day, but it does really give me, and I enjoy doing it to it. But that particular, I'll plug it at some point, because it's so fun. I always call it like a Denny's Kids placemat, because you get to color in stuff and everything, and you put all, you write in all the dates, so it's a blank one you could use in any year and start whenever you want. But anyway, I had in there, like, I have my meditation every morning. I always put that in there, and my yoga, because I started setting some goals, and it's just over 90 days ago, and I keep track of my goals in there and how I'm progressing. I just had my 90-day review with myself and how I'm doing my goals, and did I want to adjust any goals, and I did that. But I added, all of a sudden, I was doing one of my meditations or courses or something, and it was like, oh my God, I need to schedule in a writing block, just like my meditation, just like my yoga. So every morning now, I'm trying to write at least 15 minutes before work.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, because it's something.
Plus, it's also so grounding. I don't know about you, but when I write, it's so grounding. It centers me. It puts me in a good mental space.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Plus, also, when you say you schedule yourself, I know you I know there's a little bit of a, oh my God, I have to schedule myself, but I will say this, and I've always believed this, and I don't know if anybody else or any other writer out there has this opinion, but like for me, writing is something that I can do, any time of day. It's not that I
Yeah.
can't pick it up. It's just that there is a magic period of the day that I just am. I always say this at work, but I'm brilliant from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's my spot.
Yes.
That's where my brain is just, it wants to do this. So,
We're both early risers. And that is definitely, it's my me time for sure. Not that, I mean,
the repetition and the daily, I just think it's like working out, that it's just working out your brain. It's just working out your
yes.
writing. It's just working it out. And it's just, you're getting more fit.
Yes.
You're getting more fit as a writer.
I think when I did the query letter, it was like, I stopped writing, or when I finished the book, I kind of stopped writing, and I didn't know if I was going to do another book after this. And then we started talking about my idea, and I was like, oh, this could be very fun. And so, but I also feel like, again, it's about attracting the reason I want to send out more query letters and all this is attracting energy to the writing. If you don't feed things with your energy, I believe they just kind of wither. And so it's that paying attention to your writing, the thing you want to be focused on, focusing on it, giving it, nurturing it, whatever. And so that's why I put the 15 minutes of writing in a day, because it's like that takes me back to writing, to being a writer, to wanting to be a writer. And so
kind of in response to what you had just said, there is something to be said about moving forward with the query letters, moving forward with the next book, moving forward, because it doesn't mean that you're in a race, you're in a marathon. And as long as you're moving forward, you're moving forward. One step is one step. You know what I mean? Even if it's not running and you're just walking, you're still moving forward. And I think that there's an energy to that process. And then again, because I believe in this, when you create the energy of moving forward, it creates the movement of all of these things that you're asking, manifesting, trying to bring into your life. You're opening the door in I think in some ways for that. So again, my opinion.
No, I totally agree. That's just what I mean. It's like you have to draw the energy in and put it where you want it. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, so we can kind of get back to pivot happens. And that's kind of just our backstories. And you can obviously see we pivot quickly whenever needed. But we started kind of talking about how we started talking about how we see a couple kind of different pivots in life. There's the pivot that the universe may thrust upon you, the one, and they can often be the ones that aren't maybe as much fun, whether they're, where you're forced to make a change. So that kind of pivot it's way harder to stay in that and be like, okay, this is happening for a reason. This is happening for a reason. I think for me, I always, and we talk a lot in this, and when we're talking to people about resilience, as I said, because a lot of being able to pivot is being resilient, because sometimes it's really hard. And I always, for a very long time, felt like I was not resilient. And I would think about things and I'd be like, oh my God, if that happened, I would just collapse into a heap on the floor and not be able to move forward. And then I had an experience that really kind of taught me. During COVID, my mom had a heart attack and had to have quadruple bypass. And this was summer of 2020. So it was pre-vaccinations, pre-everything. And if you'd ask me, how would I handle this? Because my mom's, she was in her later 70s at that point in time. Because she was in her later 70s and had some health issues and stuff, we were being very, very careful. And I had some too. So, it was like very careful. I was staying with her, and all of that. And it was like, oh yeah, we were the ones with the bleach spray with our groceries, wiping everything down before we brought it in from the delivery service. We weren't even going to the grocery store. We were getting it delivered and bleaching it. So we were very serious. So if you'd said to me, guess what? You're going to go to ER. I would have been like, oh, never, 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 never. Well, I had to go to ER, people on either side of us with COVID. And those weren't solid rooms. This is an ER, and it was like, here we are with masks in there. Here we are having to stay in the hospital. Here she is having to have this surgery. I always caveat this. We were very lucky in that cases had dropped in the summer as they did. And we were able to at least be at the hospital during the surgery. And while she was there, we could go, my sister and I only. But again, if you'd asked me, I would have been like, oh, God, no, I couldn't handle that. I would lose it. And so I sort of came up with this little mantra after that. And it was, you'll be stronger than you know when you get there. And for me, that's sort of how I sum up resilience now. You'll be stronger than you know when you get there.
I love that.
And so sometimes when I'm kind of in this panicky flight freeze kind of moment, flight freeze. We're talking about trauma responses here. When I'm in that flight freeze moment, as your unprofessional armchair psychologist, I can tell myself now, you'll be stronger than you know when you get there. And it's like, okay, it doesn't sound fun, but I can handle it. I can get through it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I mean, and I know we talk about this in other times, but I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying anything about that was easy or that I was like, oh, that was a cakewalk. It was awful. It was really kind of facing death pretty close in a lot of different ways. And so, but I mean, if I look at what I learned from that, if I look at what I took from that, and I look at the changes that came after that and things, and how it made me a little less paralyzed with fear and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think I had to go through that. I think I did. And
I don't know if you have a feeling of being proud of yourself, but I know when I've been through, my big pivot was getting laid off right after I had a baby.
Yeah.
And I think that it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to pull myself back up on my feet and put myself out there even after having a baby. And let's not even get into the postpartum stuff that you're emotionally going through. But anyway, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
That I didn't let it get me. It didn't make me, I'm stronger. I'm a better person because of that experience.
Well, and you survived it.
Yeah.
You used your skills to get through and survive, and that's how that one worked out. So that's great, and it's like, again, we'd probably all, if we could have an undo, we'd undo and not go through that again, because they're awful things. It's awful when you're in it, for sure. And that's one of the things I feel like, I don't ever want to seem in this doing this podcast or whatever. And when we talk about these things happening and talk about unexpected pivots and things, and nowhere are we saying, oh, it's easy, or we're saying, oh, here, just cheer up and get through it. This is not toxic positivity. This is
right. Or even compare what we've been through to somebody else's major trauma either, because
exactly. I mean, and that's, I always say your shit's your shit, because, and I think that's really, that's the thing with trauma. That is really the thing with trauma is you can't compare traumatic experiences. It isn't about the experience. It's about how you and the people around you dealt with it and what went down and where you didn't process it fully as you should have. So it's not like if somebody else had an experience and they were like, well, yeah, when I was 10, my dad didn't pick me up, and then when he got there, he seemed kind of mad, and I always thought, so now I freak out if anybody's late, or if I'm late, I'm always like 2 hours, and it's like, you could be like, well, come on, your dad picked it, and it's like, no, I totally understand that. It's like, so there's no judgment here. There's no judgment of anyone's trauma, anyone's experience. We're not saying in any way we've had the worst traumatic experiences of anyone. We've just had the traumatic experiences that humans go through. And we feel like now we've kind of come to places where, with enough years behind us, looking in the rear view, it's like, Well, I'd like to talk to more people about this. I'd like to know, how did you get through? Because as most people probably get tired of me talking about my whole mindful self-compassion thing, a big part of that is common humanity and knowing you're not alone. And because the worst shame and trauma and fear and all that just so thrive in the darkness. And it's like,
no, 100%, you're not alone. I remember very clearly, my sister doesn't know this. I called her the minute I found out I was laid off, and she just started crying. Yeah. And I don't know, for me, that was the most supportive and meaningful thing that could have happened in that moment.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Yeah, exactly. She just started crying immediately. And then it was like, but you're going to get through it. So it's, you just put your pants back on and move forward. But yes, no, having somebody else understand is really, really, yeah.
And we do. We understand your big and your small traumas. We've had the gamut, and it's not a contest. And if it is, as I often say, it's a contest, nobody wins. So we don't play like that. It's like, your trauma's your trauma, your shit's your shit. No. And if you're that kind of person who needs to prove you have the biggest, worst trauma, well, you got some trauma work to do. So, no. And also, too, I will say, I fully acknowledge, I'm talking to the millennials and Zoomers here. I fully acknowledge that I've had plenty of privilege that has kept my traumas from going to the extent that many other people have. I mean, I understand that. I understand the advantages and things that I've had, but I will also very fully tell you, I've been through some things in my life that no one should have to go through. And so, once again, for the people in the back, your shit is your shit. And I think that's kind of a ground rule here, that we don't rank anybody's trauma. We also don't minimize anyone's trauma. Or experiences or pivot experiences. We're just here to share and talk, and again, shed that light of empathy, shed that light of common humanity and understanding. The other kind of pivots, they're a little more fun.
For the pivots that are fun.
The pivot by choice. The pivots by choice. I like that. Where you kind of make a decision that, like, okay, everything is okay. This isn't like, one of those situations where there's no choice but to pivot or, collapse. But you won't, because you'll be stronger than you know when you get there, I promise. But making those kind of decisions. And I kind of feel like your meeting Katie pushed you to a very positive pivot.
Yes, very positive. Plus, also, I think there was a moment in all of this where, I'm definitely, I'm in my 50s, and I'm not saying I went through a midlife or anything like that, but it's kind of like, well, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? It's now or never. So
exactly, it's like that clock ticks, and I think you get to a certain age and it starts ticking a little louder.
You pivot, and you're like, okay, what do I have to do to get there?
Yeah.
And I gave myself a year. I gave myself a year to be self-published. I remember I met her in January and I published in December. Yeah, that's how that all worked. I met her in January and I published December 3rd.
Wow. And how many pages have been read on Kindle?
Oh, by over 18,000 pages at this point.
Wow.
Right. So, and I know for some people, maybe that's not the numbers that they get. Maybe their numbers are bigger, maybe their numbers are smaller, but I'm incredibly proud of that number, because
hell yeah,
right now, when we talked about the energy and how it shifts, I'm telling you, writing the new book and ever so often shoving out, or I shouldn't say shoving out, but putting out a couple of TikToks to promote this one, I'm getting more readers now than I did in the beginning, which is wild to me, because I know the beginning writers were my friends. The beginning writers were the friends of friends. Now it's truly organic readers.
Yeah.
So it's wild. So
it's so
it's fun to see the number grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So that's, I really believe that's the energy and motion.
Yes. Again, like we're talking about, you got to care and feed for your dreams and your pivots and your energy and all of that. It just, that again, too, that's why I put it on my daily thing. It's like, yeah, get back into the writing. Because, yeah, again, I know we kind of were talking about this earlier. For me, I had sort of a pivot experience. I had a different experience than I ever did with any other book with this one. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with my characters, and it was just so different. And that in the beginning, I mean, there was the first part I wrote. I can't remember how much I had, but I'm going to say it couldn't have been 10,000 words yet. Maybe. I don't even think it was that. So it was a kernel of an idea. It was just like this one little part of the book. And it was like, yeah, it's interesting. It could be something or whatever. But once I got in and started catching that vibe from you, that energy from you of get in there and write, and create. Yeah. And it was like all of a sudden there was just a shift, and it was like the story came to me. I will say that I always say this, it was like I was watching a movie and reporting what I saw happen. I could just see the whole thing. And now it's like, I know these characters. They're like, I know these people, and they are completely products of my imagination. It's like, but, so for me, that was a pivot that kind of surprised me. That was a little bonus pivot in the middle of all of this. Like, I do want to be a writer. You know what I mean? That's like, and because of the stuff I've been through, and having a period of time where I was not able to work and going through a lot of really difficult times and trying to get my life back on track. When I got the work that I have now, it was very, I had a huge gratitude, like I was talking about, because it made so much possible and everything. But it also sort of slid into this, like, well, this is it. You know what I mean? This is what you're going to do. You're going to work and do that stuff. And then it was like, well, it's a fine job. And it's not that I mind what I do for the most part. You know, I get to work with words a lot at work. And I always enjoy whenever I'm around words. You know what I mean? But
we are editors at work, which is a benefit to the writing too.
Yeah. So that, that part, but it was like, and here's the interesting way that it kind of became clear to me that it wasn't satisfying my soul. I was buying lots of things that I could buy. Oh. And part of that was when I went through that time of not being able to work, I mean, like what they took out in taxes in my salary this year was what I used to live on for a year. So, I mean, there was not a lot of indulging myself, and I was so trying to turn my life around that any money I did have went toward trying to turn my life around. So it was like, and so in the beginning it was like, it was very fun. I will not deny it was really nice to have, some nice things again, and to not have to think, to death, can I afford this? Can I, it's like, I can afford that, and it was fun and everything. And yeah, my coat and shoe issue, I know I have a problem. I have too many of both, maybe handbags, but after a while it was like, okay, I got a purse. Okay, that's a nice purse. And it's like, oh, there's another pretty shiny purse, and it's like, this really isn't it. This really isn't touching my soul. It's fun and everything, but it's like, it's kind of empty. And nothing I have ever done or bought felt like writing that book. It really didn't. That was like, and I guess for me, there's another pivot here where it's like, long time ago, Von denMeer wanted to be a writer. Long time ago, like first grade. That kind of started knowing already I had some promise in writing. And then in high school, my English teacher was like, you're really gifted at this, whatever. And then when I was in college, doing all the different things I did. I won awards that normally were given to English majors for my writing again, but I went to law school and hated that and left in my last semester and then went on this crazy friggin' career path of into I had, I say I had no appreciable job skills because I'd spent so much time in school that wasn't, and you can't go out and kind of practice law. You either are a lawyer or you're not. So it was like, and I went into marketing and got to do some writing and some creative stuff because I also very much enjoy painting. But it was like, where did I let go of that wanting to be a writer? Because I joined writing groups and would do stuff, but it was like, what was it about writing that I couldn't fully embrace? And I know a lot of it was like parental discouragement of doing that, not seeing that as like, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to be a writer? How are you going to, and so it wasn't like anybody was saying, oh my God, and you need to write, get to writing, girl. No, it was nothing like that. It was very much like, it's a nice hobby, that kind of thing or whatever. But, and even maybe it feels, and it's probably due to all of this, kind of like, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? To say that, you know what I mean? It's like, and this experience really kind of, it was like, who do I think I am? I think I'm denMeer, the writer. And I want to, that's my thing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. I'm like having a real moment here. This is some real shit. It is. This is completely unplanned, unscripted, on everything. It's like, where did I lose the dream? And why is it hard to say it's my dream? Why is it hard to own that?
I don't know. I think sometimes when I think about how I have always looked at myself and my writing it is such a raw, very vulnerable space to be, first one, allow yourself, I think, at least for me, to allow myself to be in that creative moment and actually create something that I'm proud of. But then it's really raw and very humble and very vulnerable to share it with just anybody. You know what I mean? It's it's all of those things. Plus, I think that, I don't know. I mean, I know we are speaking the same language, but it's just, when I write, I'm connected to the deepest part of my soul, my being, why I'm here. It's real. It's me. It's I put on a different face. I put on a different, everything when I go to work. When I write, it embodies everything about me. And I think that's probably, I don't know, that could be part of it, that there's just such an enormous amount of vulnerability in this process. So, but at the same time, letting go and just freeing yourself from the judgment is such a liberating and amazing experience and feeling.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't care what anybody thinks. I mean, you still do. It's just.
But it's not about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm serious, because I will still write regardless of however many people read my books.
Exactly.
I will always write.
Right. If my book, whatever happens with it, that we were talking before about imposter syndrome on another episode. And I think some of it's that. It's like,
definitely. Yeah.
Because, I mean, it is one of those things, like, if you say to people, I needlepoint in my spare time, they'll be like, well, that's a really nice hobby, or whatever. They're like, oh, you're really good at needlepoint, or whatever. I crochet. Okay, it's a nice Afghan, you know what I mean? But when you say to people, I'm a writer, it's like, what does that even mean? Who do you think, and again, who do you think you are? I've heard that phrase a lot in my life.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, for me, it's like, oh, you write? What do you write? Oh, I just write stuff. And then it's like, to be vulnerable enough to say, well, I really personally, I love the smut. I love the trashy romance. I love that experience. But it's really interesting when you get people going, well, what do you write? And then you're like, I'm not changing the world with what I'm writing. I'm just entertaining people. And
Yes.
I used to have a judgment about myself, about the fact that I was writing something like that. And now I'm just like, F no. Like
Yeah.
the romance industry is one of the biggest, most
Yes.
profitable there is. So
Yes,
I'm like, nope,
definitely.
I write smut.
You write very classy smut.
Well,
You do.
yeah, no, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I have read some books that are really, they are very shocking.
Yes, but hey, the market bears it out. People want to read that,
They
so
do.
it's
Oh my God, yes, they do. Oh, they do. Believe me, that is hot right now as far as what's being sold. But anyway, we digress.
we digress.
Yeah.
But no, I think that that's we kind of I think wandered into a nice little corner here. It's like
Mhm.
it, even though I mean here we are talking about pivots and listening to the universe and everything. It doesn't mean that doubt doesn't creep in. It doesn't mean that
Oh God,
what
no.
am I
Yeah.
doing? It's like how do you ride out the doubt? How do you make
Hmm.
friends with the doubt and be like, well, you know what? I'm going to try anyway because the opposite means it will never work. If I don't try, then I get to 100% confirmation I will never be a published writer. You know what I mean? It's like, good, I can have my answer. I don't want that answer. I don't want an answer. I want to see. I want to see what happens. And part of me would just I want to reach people. I want to reach people with what I'm doing and what I'm saying and hope that maybe it helps people. Hope that maybe it opens something up. So that really lights a fire under me. That makes this book like the next one I'm writing. I don't know. So it's starting really weird. I got to tell you, it's got a real weird vibe, but I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of liking there's like a twistedness to it already, and I'm just starting. And I kind of like
I
that,
say
but
go for it. Embrace the twisted.
exactly. I think but that other book, it's God, there's just so much of my heart in that book. So
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah,
also what makes it again super vulnerable and scary to
yeah,
share
yeah.
and yeah, yeah, it's a process. And I am a work
Mhm,
in process, 1,000,000%
mhm.
over. So yeah, so what we kind of, this sort of came about. Actually, we were looking for an outlet to kind of give us something to help people get to know us and get to know what
Yeah,
we do and what we think and
yeah,
how we write and why we write. And it isn't the people that we've spoken to already, none of them are writers. So this is
yeah.
not a writing podcast. We happen to be writers and we'll always be probably talking from
From a
I do I
right.
am kind of a badass crocheter, so I may digress into some crochet talk here and there. And don't even get me started on mahjong. But no. So this isn't a writing podcast at all. It's a pivot podcast. It's a podcast about how we consciously change our lives and how we deal with change in our lives consciously. How's
It's
that for a
it's
tagline?
yeah. That's I like it. And the thing is about the writing is, it'll be in and out of this podcast, but I
For
think that
sure.
to introduce why we came up with this
Yeah.
idea really did originate from both of us really taking a look at our lives and going, I don't think I want to do this for the rest of my life. I
No,
want to
I
do
need
that.
more.
I want to do
More.
that. I'm meant for more. I want to do, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, I
So,
am meant for more. And all the designer handbags in the world will never fill that part of
yeah,
me.
right.
It's,
Yes.
I mean, that was the emptiness that made me kind of know that it's like, well, I'm grateful again, totally grateful and everything. I'm not in any way saying I want it to stop, universe. You know what I mean? But
Oh God,
it's
no,
like,
please. Need the job,
yeah,
need the job, need the job, need the job, want the job.
need a job,
Thank for
wants
the
a job,
job.
love the job. It's great, it's great, it's great, it's great. Um,
Keep it in, keep
no,
it coming, keep it
keep it
flowing.
coming, rain it down. No, we're not superstitious at all.
No,
No, mm-mm. No.
a little OCD too.
Yeah, maybe. Uh
I know.
There's a
How many times do we
diagnosis.
say it? Repeated, 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 repeated. finally it'll feel good.
Yes. No. I think that, this just sort of, it came about kind of organically, and we thought it would be fun, and it has been fun so far. Full disclosure, we're re-recording our first episode here. We needed to get some podcasts under our belt. We needed to kind of figure out who we are. And I have to tell you, you all out there won't know this, but it really worked because we got it together now. And I hope you don't think that's sad.
No.
No.
Oh, I mean,
we really did kind of grow a lot doing that. And I don't know, I think there's the kind of people in the world who will kind of go through life and be like, oh, that might be cool or whatever. And then there's the kind of people who are like, you want to make a podcast? Yeah. And that would be us. We're the kind of people like, yeah, why not? And we've been finding actually too with the people we talk to, you want to be on a podcast? Yeah. And it's like, those are the kind of people. And so I guess that, if you're out there and you're listening, our legions of fans that will be at some point here, and you would like to come on and talk about your experience with Pivot, we have a website. It's pivothappens.com, and you can go there, and there's a form to just submit and let us kind of know what you're thinking, your story. If there's something you'd like to see, see here on here, a topic you'd like to see covered, tell us that too. If you have nice things to say them. If you have bad things, you can keep those to yourself. We're not looking for that. Because we are interested in hearing your story. I mean, it's fascinating. We won't write about you. We promise that. We won't ever use your story unless you want us to.
You'd have to really piss us off to write about. Just kidding.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Other people have been beautiful influences. Let's just say that, beautiful, as well as others have been really great influences on the antagonists.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I always say, like, I think of Taylor Swift and Natalie Maines from The Chicks, and it's like, don't piss off a woman with a recording contract.
I am telling you right now, the writing is the best form of therapy when you are pissed off at someone.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
don't piss off a writer.
you might end up in my book. Well, it's true, because it's the best form of therapy. It's the best form of.
Oh, it sure is.
I'm telling you, it really is.
It really is. It's very fun. And it is, I mean, again, full circle back to, why I started writing my book. It was, some things are unanswerable. And so I made up my own answers, and I made up my own story. That. And it was like, that was how it all started. And it really was. I mean, it is very therapeutic.
I love that.
And because I got to write a happier ending. I mean, I didn't, I don't want to in any way imply that my book, it's an intense book. It is. I will fully admit my story is intense and everything, but I found a way to create hope out of it, to create that even if some things didn't turn out right, they don't always have to turn out that way. And if you make the decision to turn your life around, lives can be turned around. Because I've lived that. I went through that. I lived it. So I know it's true. It might not be true for everybody, because some people make other choices and they're really hard to understand. But, we can't control other people's destiny, and we can just try to ride along with them, and maybe try to find a way to reach out to people before they get to those points of not being able to stick around here with us. So, okay, so this is our first episode of the Pivot Happens podcast, and we're so happy you joined us. We're so happy you listened today. And again, pivothappens.com is our website. Feel free to pitch an idea for a show. Feel free to give us an idea, or let us know if you want to be on the show. Again, not sure how often we're going to be doing this. All of this will be determined. This is all very new for us, and I don't know if people have picked up on it or not, but we are not seasoned veterans of podcasting yet.
No.
We're doing this.
We're just following the path.
Yeah, we're doing this because we thought it was a good idea. And so it's like I said, it's the little podcast that could. And again, everything's free, no paywalls, nothing like that. We're just gonna plug our own stuff, plug the shit we like, and and if you want to sponsor us, feel free. We will definitely accept sponsorships. Right now, it's sponsored by Trail of Desire, the latest romance novel by Anne Kingston. Yes, brought to you by Trail of Desire.
Yep.
And the forthcoming Untangling the Shamble. I said it out loud. That's the name of my book, Untangling the Shamble by denMeer. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. So, and future books. Yes. Thank you for joining us. And remember, you'll be stronger than you know when you get there, so don't fear the pivot.
Seriously, we are 100% non-qualified unprofessional armchair psychologists. The Pivot Happens podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for any form of professional mental or physical health care. If you are experiencing any mental health issues, please reach out and find qualified help. If you do not currently have a support system in place, the NAMI helpline provides the one-on-one help and information necessary to tackle tough challenges that you, your family or friends are facing. Call, text or email with the helpline MF, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 988 crisis service available 24/7. Call 1-800-9506-264. Text NAMI to 62640. In a crisis? Call or text 988.